If you have an online store, chances are you've been using smart shopping ads before, right? They can be super powerful, they can drive a ton of sales to your business, and yet they're going away in 2022. In this video, I want to talk about 5 big Google Ads changes in 2022, which I think are the most important changes. Of course, it is to be expected. There is a lot more that will happen, but the 5 most important Google Ads changes, in my opinion, I want to talk about them here today and also how to deal with them. So the first change, smart shopping is going away, as I said, right? So say goodbye to smart shopping. In the future, this will be totally replaced by Performance Max. Google tells us that this will happen like mid 2022. Of course, it's not exactly clear how this will all work out, but it's probably an idea to, at some point in time, get familiar with Performance Max campaigns. I will be making a full video on Performance Max here on this channel. So far, I can tell you I've spent around 20,000, 25,000 on Performance Max campaigns so far, and they're a pretty double-edged sword, right? They can be effective, but it's such a mixed traffic source that combines search with shopping, with visual aspects, with video and all kinds of things, that it's of course not that easy to tell, okay, where did the performance really come from? For example, I noticed that Performance Max campaigns will automatically trigger a lot of brand searches. And this of course skews your data. If you realize, oh, Performance Max works very well, but brand is really making up a lot of that. And this makes the whole thing problematic. So it can be powerful, it can be very effective, and it's the next logical step for Google to focus more and more on this whole machine learning automation thing. But I must say I'm pretty surprised that they are completely sort of removing smart shopping in favor of Performance Max, because I think at least right now, smart shopping is the much better traffic source for online store owner. However, let's see how this goes. Maybe they're improving smart shopping more and more and give you some more options on what to do with it. But I think it's a very important change. If you want to try Performance Max, though, be prepared to give it at least like $1,000 or $2,000 in budget to make like some sort of real use of it. The second change, pretty similar. Google is taking away something else from us, which are the expanded text ads. And this one has been around for a while, right? Like Google Ads was telling us when you were trying to create an expanded text ad, hey, caution, they will be going away in July 2022. Personally, I don't really like that, because even though responsive search ads, yes, they can perform very well and they have their point, right? And in the long run, with enough data, they can outperform expanded text ads in a lot of cases. I think that expanded text ads are still very, very valuable, because you can bring across your message very well in like 3 headlines and 2 descriptions. Whereas in responsive search ads, you are mixing a ton of things. So in a way, responsive search ads perform better with a lot of data, a lot of budget. But in the short run, when you want to do a quick test, or when you want to specifically test 2 ads against each other, I often feel that with expanded text ads, you can get there quicker, because you know exactly what you want to bring across. You can nail your messaging and be on point. And that's something that is much harder to do with responsive search ads, because they mix so many different variables, right? You can add a bunch of descriptions, a bunch of headlines, I think 15 headlines, and it's kind of all over the place. With enough data, again, works well, but in the short run, it's a little bit tough. So that's a really ugly one in my opinion. And I hope that maybe we will get more flexibility with responsive, or maybe something else will come in the future as well. Who knows? But yeah, that's really a change that I don't like that much. Let me know what you think about it. Are you using expanded text ads a lot? Are you focused on responsive anyway? Would be very interesting to know. Just let me know in the comments. Number 3, we will get more search terms again. So you probably noticed over the past like months and maybe like the past year or so, Google was taking away more and more search terms from the search term report, right? So when you were going into your campaigns, search term reports, there was just a fraction of the search terms that were actually triggered that you could look at. So it looks something like, you know, search terms 100 and overall search terms that you cannot look at like 800. Now, Google was giving us back more of those search terms lately again. So over the past months, we were able to look into more and more search terms again. I think because the PPC community was really against that change, and they were like, hey, I sort of own that data, right? I want to know what people search for to find my products. And now we have a lot more search terms available again. But I think this will continue to happen. Like, I think they will give us more and more search terms back. At least I hope so. I guess we will never be at 100%, but if we can look at more data, if we can look at more search terms, that's of course only going to benefit us, right? So it's very important to be able to look at search terms. It's very important to be able to understand what people are looking for. And therefore, yeah, that's a great change, much better than the other two. And I look forward to be able to make better use of data again and to understand, hey, what people are typing into Google, optimizing based on that, using negative keywords, and so on and so forth. Number 4 is more like a trend rather than a change, right? So Google, it's just to be expected, will push auto bidding and anything automated, machine learning harder and harder. It starts with things like the optimization score, where Google tells you, hey, your campaigns are optimized by 80%. They could hit 100% if you use target CPA or target ROAS or maximize conversion value at a target ROAS, how it's called now. It's to be expected that Google will push auto bidding harder and harder and harder in 2022 and beyond. And in many cases, that works pretty well, right? Like auto bidding has its point. It's not like manual CPC is the best and auto bidding is evil. In many cases, auto bidding will perform better. However, it's important to notice that auto bidding has its flaws as well, especially in the beginning with little data, especially when Google, in the beginning acts a little weird, and also the intransparency that goes with it. So it's a lot more difficult, and you probably noticed that, to scale a shopping campaign that is running on target ROAS than it is to scale one on manual CPC. So on manual CPC, you can just increase the CPC bit, you can run adjustments, you can have device adjustments and audience adjustment and so on and so forth. With an auto bidding strategy like target ROAS, you just have that target, right? You can work on the campaign itself, on the products, or in case of search, on the ads and everything, of course. But on the bidding side, you just tell Google that's the goal and hope that it will get close to that goal. And if you want to scale, you have to reduce it, you have to play with the exact bid, but it's not as accurate and immediate as in a manual CPC campaign. So in a nutshell, while auto bidding tends to be more effective, especially with data, especially with broader match types, and especially with more spend, at the same time, it makes some things a bit more difficult. So I'm really curious how this will play out in the end. If we get a few more options here of doing things. All in all, I think that trend is just logical and normal and shouldn't be really surprising, but we will see how well auto bidding is performing in the future and whether we can still decide some things by ourselves. Performance Max was a good example here, right? It's like a big fat campaign type where you throw a bunch of things in, creatives, copy, etc., products, and then Google sort of mixes it like a cocktail and is like, there you go, these are your results. Hopefully they're good, maybe they're not. So that's the thing, right? You put stuff in and you hope for the best. And then number 5, Skags will lose. What do I mean with that? Well, Skags, or single keyword ad groups, I'm sure you're familiar with them. Essentially, they mean that you put a single keyword in an ad group to get 100% relevance, right? It's something like the holy grail of search ad campaigns. And many people, many PPC experts still to this day tell you to run Skags. Well, they had their point for a pretty long time, but at this point, and this goes with the previous point as well, with the machine learning and auto bidding, Skags tend to lose more and more of their effectiveness. Why? Because if you have a single ad group with a single exact match keyword and you try to get the most out of it, you are basically leaving Google's machine learning power on the table. So Google's machine learning power can give you best results if they have a lot of options to play with, right? Multiple keywords, multiple ads to optimize for, a bunch of options, audiences in case of display, and so on and so forth. But if you run a Skag, you are essentially limiting this entire thing, right? You are telling Google, hey, you think you're smart, I'm smarter. I come up with a single keyword and please only bid for that. This is effective and useful for your absolute top performers. So let's say you sell, you sell a specific type of sneakers and you have a big keyword that is getting 20%, 30%, maybe even 10% of your volume, but just from a single keyword. In this case, it can make sense, of course, to have a Skag for it, right? In this case, it can make sense to bid specifically on that keyword with a single ad or 2 ads that speak directly to this keyword and get maximum quality score, etc. However, you can only have so many of those keywords, of course, in your account logically, right? Because you can only have like 10 keywords max that make up 10% of your revenue each. Most of the time, you probably have like 2 to 5 keywords that are producing so much volume that they are worth putting into a Skag. For all the others, it's usually better to generalize a little bit. So for example, when I look at my client accounts, right? Oftentimes the campaigns that are performing best are using phrase match or broad match. And we are mixing some very relevant keywords. When Google has established some conversion data and everything already, then we craft very, very good ads, responsive and expanded text ads, which unfortunately are going away. And then Google can really leverage all its power. And this tends to be working very, very well. And this is, of course, better to manage. It's easier to manage. You don't have to get lost in like 100 different Skag campaigns or Skag ad groups. And it makes life easier and most of the time, nonetheless, more effective, because you're not artificially splitting your budget across a lot of campaigns and tell Google, hey, spend exactly $50 on that and exactly 30 on that and exactly 100 on that, and there will be no real optimization. So Skags will get less important. It's a trend that I've been observing, and many others, of course, as well, for like a year or two now, but I think 2022 they will really lose the majority of sort of their standing and their effectiveness. So if you're still focused mainly on Skags, it's probably time to rethink it, at least run an experiment, but I can already tell you that you're most likely leaving money on the table if you're completely focused on Skags. So these were my 5 points. Now at the very end, I have something for you, which is a free 45-step Google Ads checklist that I've put together. So if you run Google Ads for an e-commerce store, you probably know that you are stuck somewhere or you need some help, or you think like, okay, what's the next step, right? What should I do next? What would be good in my situation? That's exactly what this checklist is for. You can go through it step by step by step. You can tick off what you've been doing, right? You can tick off, hey, that's good, that's bad. And I hope that this will just be a valuable resource for you that you can make use of right away and yeah, hopefully see some improvements in performance within a matter of days or weeks. It's designed to be very actionable, so have fun with it, hope it helps. These were my 5 points on not on optimizing, but these were my 5 points on the news. The checklist is for optimizing, that's the right order. So these were my 5 Google Ads news. I hope you liked this video. If you did, let me know in the comments. Please leave a like, of course, and let me know which of these changes are you sort of afraid of, if that's the right word, right? Do you think, hey, expanded text that's going away is terrible? Do you think the smart shopping thing is the worst news you've heard all year? Would be interesting to know, because everyone is, of course, making different use of these different campaign types and aspects and changes. So let me know what you think. Hope you have a great day. Enjoy the checklist and take care. Bye.